let's just dive into what I think is going to add a ton of value to D2C brands and all retailers. You have this notion that the product page on a brand site is their website. Can you expand a little bit on that thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just following the user behavior, and when we look at the user behavior, we see its consistent pattern for all TTC brands. They see your ad, whether it's a Google ad or they are on Facebook or what have you, and then they click on it. They come to a product page. If that product page, they have multiple tabs open if they're coming through Google Shopping because they're looking at competing products. And if we're not able to convince them that we deserve their attention, then they're going to leave us. And so we're so focused on conversion rates, we forget the fact that we're losing the point of entry kind of attention piece. And so, we lose that customer. So if we can fix that, then that improves conversion rates. So this user is not even going to your homepage. So like, as far as they're concerned, your product page is all there is to be known about you.
You're so right. So if I'm like looking for a blender, I'm clicking a Google Shopping ad. I have no notion of a homepage, right? I'm straight on that Blender PDP. And you're right, if I'm thinking about it, I'm popping up tabs, I'm looking for the best price, the best features. It's a really good take because I definitely exhibit those behaviors. So with that, so you've got them on the PDP. I know you've got a concept of like how to structure a great PDP, right? An opening, a middle, and a close. Like, what do you see being really impactful to do in those different breakdowns?
I think the most important part is the opening. I think one of the mistakes that we make is that going back to that Blender example, we'll start talking about like, here's what's really cool about our Blender. The thing is that you haven't even earned the trust of the buyer. Like, they don't even know, why should I even listen to you? And so what I like to do in the opening is I have a very specific formula for the opening where the first thing I do is a sneaky technique where I'm actually sowing doubt in the mind of the buyer by saying all Blenders aren't created equal. And this has been done specifically because I know there are these 4 other open tabs and I don't want the shopper to actually focus on them. And also it forces the shopper to say, wait a minute, why are they saying this and what's so unique about theirs? And I'm sucking them into my sales page. And then I do a couple of other things, but the opening is like the most important because, 2/3 of your paid traffic, typically just exits without actually consuming your content. I want to fix that first and then fix conversion rates.
Awesome. And I know you've shared some crazy numbers with me, but like you're seeing really high uplifts in conversion rate just by some of these tactics you're talking about, like subtle copy changes like that. You're seeing people stay on page longer and convert with a higher likelihood.
Yeah, I have so much data on this. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, this is all we do. We just work on product pages. We just work on the descriptions, and we have incredible amounts of data. I'm happy to share that if anyone's interested as well. But the point here is that what mechanism are we using to actually get people to buy? And the core tool we're using is demonstration of expertise. And the idea is that we're living in a very specialized world. When I go to a doctor, I don't want to just go to a doctor that can kind of sort of help me. I want to go to a doctor that is a world expert, is in my price range, is taking patients and works just on that problem that I'm looking to solve. And how do we position ourselves we talked about the Blender. How do I convince the buyer that we've thought 10,000 hours about building the right Blender? That is what the consumer is looking for. So we have like a 9-point copywriting process. Ben, hopefully if anyone's interested and they write back to you, I'm happy to share that as well. But that's our process.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks, buddy.
And then lastly, this isn't going to work on everybody. And I know you have a really interesting take on, the types of customers that are coming to these PPCs and websites. Can you share a little bit more on those segments and how you approach that?
Yeah, I think this is the most important thing, is that we have to write copy with a specific type of shopper in mind. And so the group that we focus on are healthy skeptics. So a skeptic is someone who's always going to give pushback. They're very hard to convert. Then believers are people that are actually buying from us. The group that I'm most fascinated by are healthy skeptics. These are people that recognize they have a problem, that recognize there are better solutions out there, that recognize that they need to pay for those solutions, but they have some questions. And so if I can zero in on them and address those questions, we're going to see a very meaningful lift in conversion rates.
Awesome. I love that. And, a lot of the work that I do with brands is to help them improve their ROAS and, get better returns from marketing. We usually always focus on the performance side of things, the targeting, the ads. things like that. Of course, half of the equation, maybe even more of the equation, is the conversion rate on the site. So you could keep all things similar here, and if you're able to get some conversion rate uplifts from some tactics that you're going to share, it's a meaningful change and can really help across the board grow a business.